YouTube, how we doing? It's Matty B. Welcome back to the channel. Thank y'all very much for watching. Really appreciate it. Today I want to answer the question that I probably get asked the most across social media, my comments, etc. Even people at the track, they want to know, why don't I race Supercross? Well, yeah, like I said, this is probably by far the most common question I get asked, why the 820 is never out there in Supercross. It would be really good for me on the two-stroke. It would be a great way to grow my following. I feel like I could probably make some good money on it and just get a lot of different kinds of exposure doing Supercross on a two-stroke like Lesher and Stank Dog have been doing. But to be completely honest with you guys, I just don't think I quite have the talent for it. I've actually tried it a couple of times, and 2 years in a row I wasn't even able to make it to the first round. So me not having ever done Supercross, it's definitely not for lack of effort. We gave it hell, but we just couldn't stay healthy. Shocker, I know, right? Starting around 2013, while I was a B rider, I kind of started playing around the Supercross tracks at south of the border, and actually at the time I was kind of starting to think that I was figuring them out pretty quickly. I felt like I was kind of ahead of the curve for a lot of kids that were just B riders, just riding it on outdoor suspension. My first real experience my only race experience, 2013 Monster Cup. I raced it on a Suzuki, just kicking it, baby. Raced it with outdoor suspension, so that was not exactly something I would recommend you guys to do. We were bottoming out on all the triples, all the big jumps and stuff. I went like 9th the first moto and then had a crash in the second moto, so it was nothing to write home about, but I actually saw those bright lights of a stadium one time before we got completely washed up. Then 2014 came around. I had just come out of the B class, and instead of going to the A class, I decided we were just going to go pro. We were running out of money. The dream was kind of over for getting a factory ride, so we kind of said, F it, let's just go race pro. If we're going to race and spend this money, let's go do the real thing. So 2014, I was prepping to get ready for Supercross. I had just gotten some KTMs. It was actually my first day on it. I was out at Club MX riding and just cased this triple by probably a foot. Stuck when I landed, snapped both my wrists pretty solid. Had to load me up in the truck, and Club MX used to have a long, gnarly, pothole dirt road coming out of their facility, so I had to do a 1.5 mile ride out of rumble strip heaven with 2 broken wrists. So safe to say we were out for the 2014 season. A couple months of recovery, of struggling to wipe my ass and living life in 2 casts, not a problem. 2014 I did the outdoor series out of the pickup truck without choice, and then 2015 was coming around. Had a guy from out west reach out to me wanting to sponsor me. He made a lot of really big promises, which looking back on it, probably shouldn't have known it was too good to be true. You live and learn a lot as you grow up, but I was only 18. I was really excited. The dude was promising me the world, so I headed out west just for the guy not to deliver on one single thing he said he was going to do. So I was out there running out of money, working on my own stuff, just digging, trying to stay on the grind, trust the process. And the sponsor guy, he kept telling me that I sucked in the whoops, so I really started to try to send it through the whoops good. And a day out at Milestone, I missed a whoop and dropped one in, and that was all she wrote. Ended up separating my shoulder, getting a solid concussion, so that ended the West Coast swing for me. I was supposed to do West Coast Supercross that year, but I was out for about a month with the shoulder, so then we had kind of regrouped. We were back to my own program, and we were going to do some East Coast riding, but came back, had another big crash at Club MX, was trying this step on, step off. They were doing it as a quad, and I was on a stock motor, so I was barely getting over it, made a little mistake, probably shouldn't have jumped it, but went for it anyways, clipped it, straight to Indonesia, all the way up the berm, and over the top of the berm, onto flat, onto my back, so jacked up my back, my ribs, all kinds of stuff. Still kept riding through it, because the season was coming up. I was trying to get ready for 2015 East Coast, and had another crash at south of the border. Finally, the straw that broke the camel's back for me and my Supercross experience. The whoops are a little bit wet, but being that, you never know what you're going to get at the race, I was still hitting them and started getting some swaps halfway through the whoops, and I had about come to a stop, it felt like, and kind of just fell over, but crunched my knee when I landed and tore my ACL and my meniscus, and that was that. As far as my Supercross aspirations went, after that point, I was pretty much over it. I was tired of getting hurt. Definitely wasn't going to make it as a factory rider or make a living at the sport anyway. I could tell the struggle that was incoming, so I was kind of over it, wanted to be a normal kid, and enrolled in college, and did a bunch of that I would never do now, that's for sure. I should have stayed twisting it, no choice. It's honestly a bummer that I had so many injuries and so many issues in Supercross, because 2014 and 2015, while I was living out west, I literally had no close calls, no crashes, no nothing, and then I crashed one good time in the whoops, get hurt, and then the Club MX crash and the SOB whoops crash, they all just finished me off. Literally every single time I've ever crashed on a Supercross track at all, I've gotten hurt. Like, every time I've ever crashed, it's a big crash. And then on top of my talent-related issues I have out there, the other thing that really scares me is if your bike cuts out, misshifts, just anything wrong anywhere on the Supercross track, like, you're dead, you're done. Go ahead and dig your grave right out there in the middle of the track. There's really no lawyer in the world that can save you from some of the cases that you'll encounter out there. Some of these guys on Supercross tracks catch more cases than Sam Bankman-Fried. After all these incidents, I really didn't pursue it anymore. I was just riding for fun and enjoying myself. Had no thoughts of Supercross, arena cross, hitting a whoop section, or anything of that nature. My one Supercross accomplishment, I did win a championship in 2016 at the Mini-O's in the Supercross in the college boy class. So that's how you know it's not a real Supercross. She's a glorified fairground, because if I can win it, then it shouldn't be called Supercross. In 2019, the Victory Sports staff talked me into starting to do their winter indoor series, which is where Arena Crash originated for me. Started doing those and really had a lot of fun with them. Was learning a lot weekend to weekend and making some decent money doing it. Started getting more comfortable with those arena crosses, and then last year I went down to south of the border to do some riding, and there wasn't really anybody for me to ride with on the big track, so I decided to just hop in with the Supercross program. I did 3 days of it on the two-smoke with stock suspension, and I really wasn't pushing it, like wasn't hitting any triples or doing anything crazy, but just was trying to put in the laps and was hitting the whoops and stuff. And it was actually some of the most fun riding I've had in a long time. It was a blast just to ride it and not be stressed out about casing some triple or doing something stupid. I've kept doing Arena Crash over the last couple of years, and right when I really started thinking I was figuring it out, it smashed the wall, and I feel like most of the problem was I was running outdoor suspension, so the bike just bucked me coming out of the whoops. I couldn't get to the brakes, and that was all she wrote for me. Straight into the wall, concussion, skin graft, was all in the contract, not ideal. Then came back, and the second time I rode back at another Arena Crash, I had another big crash. So I think Arena Crashes are finally out of the contract for me, with the exception of the Victory Sports Arena Crash Series, because I feel like those are by far the most tame and safest ones out there. So I will probably try to be still attending those. But I was even going to try to make a run at some of the Kicker Arena Cross series last year. I was trying to put something together to attend some of those rounds, but after those 2 back-to-back injuries, I kind of had to scratch that. Then the last time I rode a little bit of Supercross, it was just 1 lap on both tracks. I did this video called 6 Tracks, 1 Lap. I did it at south of the border because they have a bunch of tracks, and I didn't take a sight lap, didn't do anything, just rode out there. Remembered the track from the year before and just doubled around it, hit the whoops and the dragon backs and stuff just for a little GoPro lap, so that was a lot of fun. Obviously, as you guys know, if you followed along with me at all this year, I've been hurt just as much or more than ever, so unfortunately for the fans, I'm probably further away than ever from actually riding or racing a Supercross. I mean, let's be real, like last year I couldn't even make it out of the local barn cross events healthy, so I'm really starting to think all you guys that are begging me to do a Supercross, y'all are really just wanting to attend my funeral, which is not cool. Yeah, I could maybe make some money and get some followers and whatnot if I race Supercross, but money and clout ain't gonna do for me if I'm dead, that's for sure. Really sorry to let all you fans down. I know it'd be sick seeing the 820 on a smoker out there flying through the air with or without his bike at a Supercross near you, but just not quite worth it to me. My body's already torn up enough over what I've done to myself outdoors, so you guys can only really imagine what I would do to myself if I actually tried to race Supercross. That's basically my reasoning. I just don't want to get hurt. I think I've got a little bit of lack of talent for it. My technical riding isn't quite as good as a lot of those other guys that ride Supercross. And honestly, I feel like a lot of guys that are good at Supercross, like they're just really naturally talented riders. And I'm not trying to say that I'm untalented or anything like that, but I know like if I try to ride like say a Sur-Ron, or like even if I get on a bicycle or something else two-wheeled, I feel like I have literally zero talent. So I feel like I'm just decent on a dirt bike because I've done it so much, all the repetition. But as far as natural talent, I'm not really sure if I'm all there for all that, so that's probably part of the reason why I'm not able to make it out alive either. That's my reasoning. Got some GoPro footage out of the archives back from 2013 and 2014, back when I was getting after it on the Suzuki, just kicking it. And this is back when all the 250Fs were just kicking it, so I actually felt like part of the crew, no choice. Sorry about the quality, it's not the greatest. I had to screen record it off my channel because I don't have this stuff anymore. It was 10 years ago. First one's me while I was in B class at south of the border, full outdoor setup, just trying to learn. The second one is me testing my race bike before Monster Cup. There's no whoops because we were getting ready for Monster Cup. Outdoor suspension again. Third one, that was January 2014 at south of the border. This was me trying to get ready for East Coast Supercross that I never made it to. I think I actually had some stock suspension this time, so that was better than outdoor suspension, stock motor. Last one is just from that 6 Tracks 1 Lap video at south of the border, not hitting anything at speed or anything like that, just kind of trying to get around the obstacles for a little POV action. And that's about all I got for you guys. Sorry if I sound like a and I'm letting you guys down, but it just ain't worth it to me. I don't want to die. I don't want to get hurt any more than I already have been. You guys have seen what I've done to myself outdoors, so Supercross, I might as well put myself through a cement mixer. No choice. But hope you guys enjoy this footage coming up, and I'll see you guys at the track, just not the Supercross track. At least back then I knew how to avoid a wall.